Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Significant health concerns continue to hamper critical services at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. For the latest, we join our reporter Shamela Mitchell. Shamela?
The wounds at Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James appear to be deepening. This as medical doctors at the facility have taken industrial action.
As it is now, there seems to be a group of doctors who have apparently called in sick. The JMDA understands that there are ongoing issues with Cornwall Regional Hospital, and we've continued to highlight these issues there. What we are seeing is a culmination of the frustration of members at the hospital now.
More details on this development in Primetime News at 7.
And thank you so much, Shamela. Meanwhile, the Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, says the main building at the Cornwall Regional Hospital should be closed to facilitate the rehabilitation works taking place. NAJ President Carmen Johnson says while it may not be the ideal solution in the eyes of the Ministry of Health, it is in the best interest of patients and staff. Ms. Johnson says this suggestion has been discussed with technocrats at the Ministry of Health. There seems to be doubt about the effectiveness of the states of emergency which have been implemented in St. James and the St. Catherine North Police Division. Opposition Senator Damien Crawford raised concerns on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning. We have more on this report.
Crime continues to be a major sore for Jamaica's economy, but even as the government is taking steps to address the situation through the implementation of Zones of Special Operations, ZOZO, and state of emergencies, criminal elements continue to wreak havoc on the society. Opposition Senator Damien Crawford says the efforts, although welcomed, are not adequately sufficient. He notes that while operations are being carried out, majority of the guns seized are outside of the state of emergency or ZOZO.
What is also incorrect is that it is working. Now, what is the working? We currently have turned off the pipe, but we haven't cut off the water. So you have a situation where, as I said, you have not removed the guns. Only 18 guns have been found. More guns have been found outside of the state of emergency than inside of the state of emergency. So therefore, we have not removed the variables that are causing criminal activity. The criminals have not been caught because only 61 persons have been arrested. Now, we know the turnover rate, maybe 20 will be convicted.
He, however, adds that the state of emergency has forced criminals to occupy other areas and create turmoil.
They move into communities that were not originally criminal communities and attract persons to their lifestyle, being that those persons are not used to that type of lifestyle and are in awe of that type of lifestyle. So we saw that happening, for example, when there was a target of Montego Bay for drugs. This is not the first time we have targeted areas. And that target of Montego Bay we have seen now where Westmoreland, Hanover, those areas have become criminal areas that were not criminal areas before that.
He said that it is unfair to punish an entire community which has nothing to do with crime. Mr. Crawford suggested that targeting a community is not the solution against Jamaica's crime situation. He adds that focus should be placed on targeting the criminal by acting on intelligence.
So what I'd like to see, for example, that you go to a panel of 3 judges and you say, okay, Damien Crawford is an enemy of the state. And if so, the judge agree, then you target Damien Crawford. You then remove his rights. You remove the rights to bail. You remove the right to trial in front of a jury. It might be tried by judges only. You remove the right to having to face your accuser, where the person might be able to do a video. So you target that individual. Because what we have done is to seek those who hold the guns and not seek those who own the guns. And that is a problem, because they'll find new holders.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A 21-year-old has been arrested and charged after cops found an 84-inch flat-screen television set stolen from the Holland Primary School in St. Elizabeth in his home. The school had been broken into on multiple occasions during this academic year. Charged with the offences of school breaking, larceny and receiving stolen property is Christopher Campbell of Middlesex District in the parish. TVJ News has learned that on Friday, March 2, teachers arrived at work and discovered that the school had been broken into. One 84-inch flat-screen television set and several grocery items were missing. An immediate investigation was carried out, which resulted in the recovery of the television set. Mr. Campbell was arrested and charged on March 29. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is urging the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, to reconsider its decision to go to the UK-based Privy Council to determine whether the agency has the power to arrest or charge members of the security forces. The appeal court last month ruled that the INDICOM Act does not give the agency or INDICOM Commissioner Terence Williams the powers to arrest, charge or prosecute members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force or the Jamaica Defence Force.
Speaking personally, I think it would be ill-advised. I've read the judgments of the Court of Appeal. I think that what INDICOM should do is to wait and see what Parliament does in relation to recommendations for it to have those powers. There's no doubt in my mind that the Joint Select Committee that reported in 2015 had made several recommendations which hopefully will be debated by Parliament in a short order. And as to the best of my advice, I would urge INDICOM to delay or not to proceed to the Privy Council with the appeal.
Mr. Williams said lawyers for the Commission filed documents before the appeal court seeking leave to go to the Privy Council on Thursday and served on the attorney for the Police Federation. He's insisting that members of his team can still arrest and charge police and soldiers in a private capacity under the common law. A 29-year-old man was killed in a motor vehicle crash along the Darling Toba Road in St. Elizabeth this morning. He's been identified as Dane Allen, a tour guide of Middle Quarters. According to reports, sometime after 1 o'clock, Mr. Allen was driving his Isuzu truck towards Brompton when he lost control of the vehicle. It ran off the road and overturned. Mr. Allen was thrown from the vehicle, which then fell on him. The police say he was not wearing a seatbelt. Significant steps are to be made to increase local production of coconut for the export market. The announcement was made yesterday by Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw. He says for too long the exportation of coconut has been overlooked as a main area of revenue.
My agenda is to ensure that the vast resources that the Coconut Board now has at its disposal that is applied to the expansion of coconut production and the building of a vibrant coconut industry. This is not about getting some money to put into government revenue. This is about making sure we get money to put it into the coconut industry so that every small farmer who wants to plant some coconut, we will be able to find a way to assist them to plant the coconut tree.
He was speaking at the Mount Pelier Agriculture Show on Monday. Time now for news overseas. Alex van der Zwaan is the first person to be sentenced in Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election in the United States. And we will have more on this developing story in subsequent newscasts. And we're still overseas, still in the United States. A stunning discovery about a student suspected of plotting a school shooting in Pennsylvania. Police say the foreign exchange student stocked up on ammunition as part of his plan. Investigators say the suspect also built a gun at home.
Upper Darby police were blunt.
And the thing that's bothersome to me is the amount of ammunition that he's able to purchase online, and he's not even a United States citizen.
Days after revealing a foreign exchange student at Monsignor Bonner, Archbishop Prendergast had an alleged plot to shoot up the Drexel Hill Catholic High School. Police on Monday had more show and tell to do.
We certainly feel that he was going to shoot down the school.
Anso's son was busted last week on terroristic threats charges. Investigators say he amassed an arsenal and planned to unleash carnage on the school May 1st. Court records show son told a classmate who in turn blew the lid off the plan once he alerted a school employee.
We're in the process of trying to develop, is there something more to it than what we have? Are there other people involved than him?
Police showed us ammunition for an AR-15, an AK-47, and an untraceable 9mm handgun they say son, an 18-year-old from Taiwan, had built. The weapons and ammunition were stashed in this duffel bag. Police claim son's host parent, a Lansdowne attorney, removed the bag from his bedroom and hid it after learning about the investigation. The woman whose identity we're withholding wasn't home when we came knocking. A woman at her law firm took a message for us. The Archdiocese confirms the CBS 3's son has since been expelled. Counselors will be available to students on Tuesday.
Meanwhile, the teen who was rescued from a sewer in Los Angeles after more than 12 hours has for the first time spoken about his ordeal. The details from the CNN.
I was thinking like I'm gonna die, like I was never gonna see my parents again.
Those were the thoughts passing through Jesse Hernandez's head during his 13 hours trapped inside a pitch black sewer pipe with raw sewage flowing on and around him. This is the camera rescuers used to locate him. The ordeal began on this abandoned building.
I was playing and I didn't see that it was a little piece of wood, and I stepped on it and I just fell down and the current took me.
Jesse was with his family Sunday at a picnic in Griffith Park when he and his cousins crossed Zoo Drive and hopped a fence. He ended up on the roof of this decommissioned sanitation building. His cousin said he started jumping on a piece of plywood. That plywood snapped and Jesse plunged through the shaft underneath it, down into the sewer system. The untreated sewage water hit him immediately.
It just took me.
And how far do you think you went?
I went pretty far.
Could you breathe or?
Yeah, I was breathing.
And were you kind of swimming? Were you being carried by the current?
Yeah, I was being carried by the current.
Jesse was finally able to stop himself.
I stopped myself because the little tunnel started getting smaller, so I just stood up fast. And there was this big circle thing, and I just went up.
Time now for sports. Royal Lakes and Fraser's Whip drew first blood in their first leg semi-finals of the St. Catherine Major League after both teams recorded wins over New Raiders and Portsmouth respectively at the Prison Oval. A double strike from Orville Mullings carried Royal Lakes to a 3-0 victory over New Raiders. Carmichael Panchon opened the scoring for Royal Lakes in the 19th minute. 5 minutes later, Mullings booted home for the first of his 2 goals as Royal Lakes went up 2-0 in the first 45 minutes. Mullings secured the victory on the stroke of full time to send Royal Lakes into the second leg with a 3-goal advantage.
It was a very important match. We need to ensure that we get the 3 points going to the second leg, and we score 3 goals, so we're very pleased with the performance.
We just have to fight hard for the next round and see how best we can come back from there. I think we have the ability to do so because even in the game, we would have created quite a number of chances that we didn't capitalize on. So we can't change the fact that we are 3 down, but it's an opportunity to really work hard and get forward in the next round.
Former champions Fraser's Whip also recorded the same scoreline over the Portsmouth team. Both played to a scoreless first half, but 2 minutes on resumption, Shandale Sr. gave Fraser's Whip the lead. Things got worse for the Portmore team as Rashid Hamilton was given the marching order in the 55th minute. 14 minutes later, both were reduced to 10 players each after Gerald Neal received a red card. Darren Grant increased Fraser's Whip's lead after scoring in this 75th minute, and Orville Newell made it difficult for the Portsmouth team in the returning leg after scoring in the 87th minute.
It all started from the first game we played this team. They beat us 2-0 because we played a flat game. We went back to the training session and we sorted out ourselves and came back. One of the things we wanted to do is catch them on the counter because that team were open too wide. So we utilize the spaces and we get 3 goals.
Today was just a hiccup. We know we have a second leg to come. Now we know let's just go back to the drawing board and come stronger next game.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon and have a good